one of the most beautiful places I've ever been.
Yeah, it is.
Uh,
I know.
Pine Island and Sativa and what's the other one?
Sanibel and Captiva.
Yeah, what did I say? Sativa. I'm thinking of smoking weed. Sativa strain. Yeah, Sanibel Island,
Yeah,
uh, Sanibel Island, Pine Island,
Captiva.
Captiva. Yeah, yeah. I had this vision because I lived down there for a while, and anyway, I had this vision that I would uh, get to a point where because Captiva and Sanibel, they're not that big,
No.
so I was going to get a beachside establishment that would be called Blues Beer Beans and Barbecue, and I would have a, a band every night, local people, and get up there and do my own thing or whatever, and then have a boat in the after, a boat like a charter boat and then in the afternoons or in the mornings I would go take people out on charters.
Yeah.
Come back, make some barbecue, beans, Mexican food, drink some beer, play some blues. that
That would work.
was my
That
that
would
was my
work.
vision at about
Yeah.
40 years old.
Yeah, that's a good vision.
And then I decided to get on the whatever the hell this is we're on. Amazing, though. It's amazing. It's all amazing, and it's also, you know, I don't know how you feel about this, but since we're all friends, we'll just jump right into it.
All right.
There's this real. I feel like this impending, kind of slow death knell, right? But I don't mean that to accentuate the word death, but it's like the bullshit's over, and I'm not talking about ethical, moral, legal stuff that happens out on the world stage where it's got people's attention. Uh, I find it to be something at a personal level where, from my own conversations or dialogue with, I'm done pretty much saying that I'm talking to my higher self. I am my fucking higher self, all due respect. I am my soul in a human body. And my job is to function as one voice in one body. So when I say this dialogue is happening, I believe that it's all of me with the universal, that's all of us. And it's kind of like, cut the shit.
Yeah.
Don't lie to yourself. Don't lie to other people. Own your shit, and you'll get out of here and have a much better experience.
Yeah.
And these cliches of everything's perfect and uh, any decision I make is perfect. Well, I guess it is, but from where I'm standing, I'll be the judge of what's perfect for me. And I know bottom line is I need to keep myself right in a way that's true to me. And if certain things uh are presented, don't act like they're not. Just own that shit. There's so much to be said for owning up to stuff, and I'm talking to myself here.
It's a lot easier to own things now, too. It's like the avoidance and all that stuff, it just doesn't work anyway. And I mean, that's one of the reasons that I'm really not on social media any.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on there, but not much. I can't take a lot of the bullshit. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
we're here, we've been here for a long time. Let's just really start living it.
Yeah, yeah, I'm with you, and I'm not like coming down on people. I'm
No.
just talking about basic things like the whole gaslighting, shadow banning, um, turning the tables on people, uh, basically keeping the emphasis off of yourself because that's where you're going to get your shit handed to you on a platter.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, I feel like on a personal level, I'm in a pretty good spot, and it's been an ascending spot. Um, but I'm recognizing that you know, this ain't about views, and this ain't about how many people like your post and how many friends you have and how many followers you have, you know, and this ain't about what you bring to the party. Like, you know, this ain't about what Todd was part of creating Soulogy. This ain't about that. Todd's just a tool. Todd's just a conduit. And there's this line, we were talking about it last night, that is confidence and arrogance,
Yeah.
right? And arrogance is rooted in insecurity. Some of the biggest badasses I've ever met in my life were, once the things came, you know, to a point of, say, because fighting, and I don't mean to use this as a encouraging anybody. I'm just talking about like the life of a man or a boy, but 90% of the fight is psychological.
Yeah.
And I don't care. I've gotten whooped by guys smaller than me, and I've whooped a lot of guys that were bigger than me. But it's 90% psychological. So what does that tell me? That tells me that the bully is an insecure. It's a mask, but at the same time, the confidence is a very tough place to be, because you can quickly become cocky. So there's this
Well,
humility.
it
Right.
can be a slippery slope,
Yeah.
right? And
Right.
it's got to be rooted in, just grounded in who you are,
Yeah. It's a
regardless.
humility. It's a humility, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah, it is.
if
Well, yeah, and you know, if you don't have it, you will be humbled.
well,
It can
that's what
happen on a daily basis.
I'm saying. It's becoming. Somebody just wrote, Terry Willette. It says we were 5 years friends on Facebook. I don't believe that. I think it actually goes back about 7 years, but I probably never answered a friend request or something or sent you one. But today was 5 years. But she said radical self accountability in these times of transparency. So
Right
this
on, Terry.
this humility comes from the dark nights of the soul, but it doesn't. You know, there's too much of this. I did that. I did that. I've done that. I've done that. It ain't about done or did. Okay, it's about doing.
Or it's about
Because
who you are. It's
right,
about who you are.
right,
You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
the doing is extraneous. Who you are, and how
right.
can you root in that, and how are you showing up for that every day? You know, God knows I don't show up every day. God knows I don't.
I
But
don't either.
it's
I'm
it's
just.
better. I mean, I'm better. You know, I use tools. I mean,
Hmm.
I've had to use boundary tools this week.
Hmm.
But once you use the tools, I'm like, oh, look, that just opened up.
Yeah,
And now I can go back to neutral, and there can be an interaction.
yeah. I think they use the word spiritual bypassing, and I think it has different connotations, such as I'm always out of my body, not dealing with being a human. To let me give you some spiritual pretty words. You know, I'll speak in platitudes. You know, and just avoid the subject again, or literally I'm superior. But the thing that I find for myself is, and this goes back 11 years. You know, I was a national director with a very large company. I had some high senior executive positions. I was homeless, and people would come up to me, and I'd say, "Hey, I'm Todd Medina. I used to work for Home Depot. I was a national guy with Sears, and so on and so on." And then one day I went, "Well, why do you say that?" And then the journey starts. But what I'm trying to say, it still applies today.
Mm-hmm.
It still applies today. Like, it doesn't matter if Todd did 3,200 shows. It doesn't matter if Todd thinks in his mind that he put his heart out there and whatever. It doesn't matter. That's irrelevant. Don't tell me who you were in a past life. Don't tell me what connection you have to some galactic star system. And I'm serious.
I know.
Tell me who the fuck you are.
I
Okay? And in
know.
fact, don't even tell me. Just show me. These are that must be one of your neighbors, Fort Ritchie, Florida. These are all these scammers. But
No,
no,
I
really,
know.
you know what I mean? Like, that's so inspiring when somebody just shows up in it's warts and all, right? I mean, it's like, here's my shift and here's my shit. Okay.
Yeah.
And it's not about love me or leave me. It's just about, this is who I am, and I'm here to try to keep being more transparent. I mean, this is some real equalizing stuff, I think, going on, is what I'm getting at.
You know, Todd, and I think I mean, I can just speak personally that I don't have the energy to try and do anything different with these, with this stuff coming in. I mean, half the time I'm leveled, you know, like
Mm.
I'm like,
You're on your back.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't have the wherewithal or the desire to even try and do anything but just like, okay, you know, let's just surrender this, you know, that's all I got. That's all I got. And for whatever reason, you know, I'm hard headed. So that's
No,
probably,
you know what? There's a lot of people on their back a lot of the day. And I
it's
think
not
that's,
every day, but
yeah, but
it's,
yeah,
there's some things coming in that are ginormous.
yeah. I mean, you could spend, I know I've had days. I had one last week where it was, I think it was 7.5 hours I slept. And then I had a 4.5 hour nap and another 2 hour nap. Right. And you're going, this isn't cool. What, I should be doing something.
I know. No,
And
but
yeah.
you know, the saving grace for me is I can bounce these things off Kurt because we tend to within a day or two. I'm sure you do this with Morgan too. You know, it's like, oh, you had that too. Okay, it's not me. It's not my mind thing going. I'm just lazy, or you know, what the hell's wrong with me? No, it's the energy.
Yeah. We do. We have a, so there's two things. One, there's the seesaw.
Yeah,
So one goes in and the other one's cool. And then it goes the other
yeah,
way. But lately there's been a lot of, we'll get on the thing and we'll go, you know, I'm just gonna go lay down, and then we'll call like an hour and a half later, and she's still laying in bed, or and I'm like, yeah, I'm just
yeah.
like, I don't know, but
It's
it's a lot. I had a couple of days ago where I just laid on this couch for I don't even know how long. It must have been 4 hours. I had no TV on, no radio, which most of the time I have some music on, because I like music a lot, and
yeah,
it gets me kind of moving. And but it was just total silence, and all I could do was just be aware of what was happening to my body, which was crazy because it'd be like my testicle would start to hurt, and I knew something was breaking off there, or my back would start to hurt, or my knee would start to hurt. I'd get tingling up my right leg, which is masculine. Then the feminine would come in, and my heart's palpitating, and I'm just going, okay, like 6 months ago when this happened, you thought you were fucking dying, but now you realize, okay, and I don't need to know anything. Don't even try to
no,
tell me. I'm not listening. So it's kind of this weird place, right? And I know
yeah.
it's temporary. Yeah,
You can't figure any of things out, and physically, you know, things are happening. I'm like, wow, that's weird. You know, like things that you never think could happen, and I just ride it. I'm like, it's just, I know it's the energy. I know it's the energy.
yeah. I talked to somebody yesterday, and this whole thing that I guess I started like engaging with you when we got on, because I know how you are. I mean, we click, right? I mean, we
Right.
always have, but like, it's not about this whole comparison, competition thing, these programs that we have within ourselves. These are the keys to me, like recognizing, being open. First of all, if we're not open to a program within ourselves, then we're fucked,
Yeah.
and we'll be more effed every single day, because that's going to get louder and louder and louder, and there's going to be some collateral damage potentially. I mean, we're talking about a co-creation, self responsibility that is starting to have some pretty big ripples, in my opinion. And this is where you hear people talking about, oh, their false light and their dark light. And, you see the deconstruction of these established platforms that are starting to shake. It's not just the government and the
No,
religions and the education.
no, no, no.
That's right. And that's why I say it doesn't matter what you've done. Like you said, what matters is, what are you doing right now? What are you doing? And if you're flat on your back, cognizant of what's happening to your body with whatever the hell this energy is coming in, then great. You know, then great.
I mean, I don't know exactly I don't pretend to know exactly what's happening, but I do know to ride it. I do know to surrender to it. And that's just been by, a year or two of experience with it, and it's an up and down thing, and it's like, what I'm trying to do is kind of level it. So it's not this, okay, I'm on my back and then, oh, what, like I'm trying to bring it more in balance just within my own self.
Yeah.
And I really feel that this has to do with DNA and how these codes are coming in and how we're being upgraded. This is not an easy thing.
Mm-mm.
This is our little human bodies. I mean, our DNA is being, who knows what's happening to it? I don't even pretend to know, but I know what's happening.
Yeah.
At a gut level, I know what's happening.
Yeah, that's absolutely 100%. That's why I was talking about that physical experience for 4 hours. I just knew, like I could see it happening. And then, some of the things that I've experienced just in my own way, in my own right, things I pick up, things that Morgan and I, that experience, like we had a session with some friends last night. That was another piece. I mean, everything is leading up. Everything is everything that we were told is actually happening now. And what I'm really pointing at is the conversion of the carbon-based body to a light-based body.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Right. And so, especially this month, and especially since around the 10th, for me, this presence, and it was big last night. Like, it was big. It came in last night. We did a session with some friends, but then I went to bed and went about my business, and I'm sitting there, and like, this aspect of me is like, dude, I'm not outside of you. If you want to play that game, then that's fine. But this shit's real. This whole conversion, this whole ascension, this whole thing that's happening. Yeah. And if you want, we can live in the same breath, in the same word, if you want to. And if you want to play small and treat me like I'm a god when I'm actually you, we can do that too. I'm not being the smartest. This guy talking to me, right? This gold bean. And I'm like, no. I want to be this one voice, which
Todd, I think as humans, we've been so programmed to play small, that coming out of that, we have to reprogram ourselves, and for me, it's almost like PTSD. I'm like, oh, if I step out of this, I'm going to get legged. I'm going to, like lifetimes of that. Right. But it's really different now. Like that's what's so phenomenal, is that you can step out and it's like, wow, it is different.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't explain that in words. I can't explain that. I can't put something definitive on that, but I just know it. It's different and it's not going back.
Right. And I think for me, I can jump into just being Todd the human, the silly boy, big boy human, or I can jump into this other thing as I'm understanding this, especially this is last night, me in bed last night, having a really in-depth conversation. And then I was just kind of showing like, you can be this one voice. Because on one hand, I'm seeing this like stoic, regal figure that's super capable being. And it's too sturgy. It's too much of a stiff collar, right? Now that's my own shadow and my own my own perspective that's skewed. And then over here I can be Todd, and I'm like literally having this conversation with what Franco would call the human consciousness, which represents the human lineage. So all incarnations of this human consciousness. And then over here, I have the soul consciousness. And so they're like going like this.
Oh, right? Wow.
Right. So I'm trying to say, I can actually carry this integrity, this dignity, this nobility, this courage, this wisdom, this love. I can actually carry that here as a human. But the one thing I will never get away from is not including the human, which means that the human has to be conscious
Mm-hmm.
of allowing this to come in and conscious of not going into the old patterns and vibrations. And again, some people will come on and go, oh, well, everything's perfect anyway. Well, that's great. But for me,
Yeah.
I'm not good with that, because it's not that it's not perfect, but why get this information if we don't change our, if our aptitude for discernment doesn't change, which is only going to change through conscious effort and further awareness. I guess what I'm trying to say is we never get there. Get out. Let's get out. This is Todd talking to Todd. Get out of the way. Let's do this thing. I think we got enough information to figure it out,
Yeah.
because I think everybody's being held to the same, level of accountability, and that is basically how we fit in determines how we feel, and how we feel is determined by, you can call it peace of mind, but a relationship with these aspects or whatever. But uh, you know,
I,
it's
I think
nobody's fault. It's nobody's
maybe
fault. It's
maybe
nobody's.
how we're able to integrate, is kind of key. Because when you were talking about the human and this, that really resonated with me, because there's this, it's just integration that's happening, because we're human, we're here, like we chose this. This is a phenomenal opportunity. It's not easy. It's some days I'm just like this is beyond what I thought I was signed up for, but there's this integration. And I just want to say one thing. This came to me, and this is me talking to me. Okay.
Yeah.
So you have the collective, and there's things going on in the collective. There's large amounts of collective, and it's not good or bad, but the fighting for and against things, mandates or whatever, like that. Okay. And then you have, for lack of a better term, light workers, which, I've been a part of this. And for me, it's like I was always very comfortable as light worker and kind of connecting up and out, get out, and now I think it's the light worker, as a light worker myself, even, and I hate that term. I don't like that term, but coming down and integrating. And I don't mean down, but I mean further integration, because we've been working these muscles for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And not staying kind of floaty and, oh, everything's great, as you're saying. It's like, no, this is real life. This is life on planet Earth right now. We're human. We are, things are changing rapidly, but I just feel like I needed to say that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I had a friend tell me yesterday, who's very, who's very no BS. I mean, very sensitive and very, wise. And they were talking about some of the platforms out there that are taking a beating and losing traction and throwing rocks at each other. And I haven't really noticed it, because I'm like you. I dive in, share my post, dive out, right?
Mhm.
So I'm not as aware, but I could feel it, because I do watch different platforms, and I've noticed that they're running out of things to talk about.
Mm.
You can only talk about the Anunnaki. You can only talk about the big
Mhm.
bad conspiracy. You can only talk about this for so long until you have to look at something like what I talked about earlier as an example, because we know this is about, I guess you could say, widening the 0 point field or converging polarities. But so you take like something like arrogance and confidence, and the 0 point field to me is the humility. It's
Mm.
not saying, oh, I'm going to be confident and fuck arrogance. No, 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 no. This is just me again. Now, I'm not saying this is gospel for
Mhm.
everybody, but the way I see it is it's that field in the middle where I
Mhm.
take arrogance and confidence and say, you're one and the same thing. Thank you very much. We are now
Yeah.
humility. And tomorrow I'll be asked to take that to a deeper level, or I'll become polarized again. So what I'm trying to say is all these things are distractions.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes.
all these
Yeah.
things are distraction, and I think it's going to go deeper and deeper to where we start to get challenged on what laws are we following or not, what rules, what regulations, what borders. I actually think this is happening. Like as long as I carry an ID card, I'm in the matrix, and maybe that's okay. But the trajectory I'm on, I want to, I want to teleport. I want to
Yeah.
go out of my physical body into the cosmos. I can go into the universe, obviously, but I want to. I want to. This, I think, is our gift
Yes.
for all the work we did is to be able
Yes.
to do these things in the physical that we can only do
Mhm.
in dimension or lucid dream. Right?
Yes, exactly. And exactly what you said. And oh, I just lost my train of thought. But yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Like,
Um,
like, do you want to play in the fairy tale book or do you want to play in the same old shit? And
okay, so that
go
it
ahead.
just came back to me.
Yeah.
So someone was saying, "Have you ridden motorbikes?" When I shared that post about creating my world. This was 6 months ago or something.
Yeah.
Whoever that was, I think
Was
I
it a
don't know,
chopper?
Monique.
Was it?
I think it was Monique.
Yeah.
Anyway, that we have this ability now that is so expanded to create our own world now, or not our own world, but to our creation abilities are significantly enhanced.
Yeah.
And I've personally just been playing with this in my world that I inhabit every day. Now, okay, we're all connected and I get that, but just in my little world that I can manifest things, and it's quite astounding. It's quite astounding what is available. And I mean, it's kind of mind blowing, to be quite honest with you. And that's what's available now. Um, with that intention, that pure heart intention.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, that I think that's what's really exciting. And you're talking about teleportation. I mean, why not?
Well, I mean, what's the point? Right? I mean, I think we've got the being human thing figured out.
Right.
I think we're at a point where we can go, oh, I'm not into the pain and suffering anymore,
Right. Enough.
uh, which requires us to take everything that's presented into ourselves because the day will come when there are no boundaries. Oneness won't allow it. Unity consciousness won't allow it. And I don't want to live in the world where there are boundaries. My soul journey, my human consciousness journey's gotten to the point where I'm like, you know what? I'll go finish in another star system. And I mean that. I believe that we have the potential individually and at minimum, a strong minority, if there's a two earth thing or whatever the case is, or whatever, that can actually ascend in the body with no physical death, which means all the attributes and characteristics that come with those things that we're familiar with in dimension. The only difference is our human body doesn't go typically, unless you have a near death or an out of body experience. I have, and I know those are totally different experiences because my physical body went right, like however that happens. But my point is that the loudness, everything to me is either an anchor into where I've been or pulling me to where you know this big experience adventure is telling me that we're supposed to go. And it's a very to me it's a collaboration, but you can't really kind of like enter the circle of the ensemble unless you're being straight with yourself, because as we start to engage more like this, we're seeing right through everything.
Yeah.
Like even if we're not conscious of it, we're feeling the out of equilibrium. We're
Hmm.
feeling anything that's not truth. So and
Yeah.
and the last thing I'll say is what to your point is that So you had this group, and let's just use this as an example. I'm not saying that they're all. I'm not trying to just compile everybody in one under one tent, right? But just kind of like from a metaphoric standpoint, you have people that said, "Hey, we need to disclose things. Hey, there's some conspiracies going on." Like, come on, man. I mean, like we got JFK, we got 9/11, both had commissions. I mean, we could go right down the list. Gulf of Tonkin, Vietnam. We could go right
Yeah,
down the list. So that's not that's the distraction. What I'm
that's
trying to say is here's a group of people who have stood outside the box and gone, something's not whatever that is over there, it's not legit.
mm-hmm.
Now, we know what's happened to those groups, and there's been some wider acceptance, but there's also been a higher level of propaganda. Now, just take that as a metaphor. Now you have, and I'm with you. I don't know what the word is. Starseed, light worker, weird people, whatever. They're starting to expand as an energy on the grid. So they're gaining notice in all kinds of ways, and there is a solidarity there. And I believe that force is being met just like in universal seesaw.
Mm,
And every day we're being asked to go a little bit deeper, meaning that okay, you merged these two polarities yesterday. We just gave you a lift. That's why you're on your back for 4 hours. And
right.
now here's a wider vantage point. Can you do it again?
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
and
It's
that's
a
like
it's
where
a
I
building. It's a building. Definitely a building. Um, yeah. I keep forgetting what I'm gonna say. I
that's
keep
part of it though. It's part of it is you forget everything, you
I
know?
know. Yeah, right? I know. I think it's, the old me would say, oh, it's just old age and everything. It's like, no, I can
No,
forget things
no.
in 2 minutes. I'll forget some things. I
So
don't
tell me,
sweat about
but
that.
you went motorcycle riding. I didn't see that.
Oh, yeah. That,
What was
that
that all
was
about?
Allison, New York. Yeah. Hi, hi, Allison. No, I shared a post just about, reality creation. It was, I don't know if you saw it. I don't want to repeat the whole thing, but a bucket list item for Kurt was riding a motorcycle with me on the sidecar. And I was walking one day in the woods, basically on a dirt road by our house, and this thing went past me with the sidecar, you
Oh my
know.
God.
And so I ended up, going there, and they were there, and ended up having a lovely conversation, and they took me for a ride. But that was kind of, it was this COVID thing, and I was like, screw it. I'm creating my world, and this is going to be a really good interaction. And there was no fear. There was no, it
Was
was
he
love.
driving or was another person driving?
No, Kurt wasn't even there.
Oh, cool. I
I
got you.
totally took his bucket list item.
Oh my God, that's cool. Yeah. Yeah.
um, but in a split second, my mind was like, no, don't do this. Don't do this. That whole fear thing. And I was like, no, this is yes. This is reality creation. This came in because it was circling in my reality, and this is a moment to say yes.
Yeah.
And these moments when you're supposed to say yes.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. That's right. I had a weird experience 10 days ago. I talked about a little bit, and it started with it started with me opening the refrigerator and looking at a piece of lime. And the lime said something to me, and then the night or the adventure started. And it ends up me coming back after going around the town and doing different things like a scavenger hunt almost. And I come back, and as I pull in the garage, I haven't built a fire since it's been a long time. And I used to do it all the time. And I just went, oh, I'm building a fire, right? Like, but it was because the sidecar came by and I said, hey, hang on. I'm going to
Right.
take you up on that. And it was like crazy. I was telling Morgan about it. I was like, I go to the Asian market, and the mint is talking to me,
Yeah.
right? And it's like, it was crazy. And then I came home and the tree's talking to me, build a fire. But yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. This group that was, let's just say, as a metaphor that conspiracy, disclosure, whatever, it is now an active embodiment that's enacting within the enabling that they're the actions that they're taking, creating this expansion of this new frequency, which is this hybrid of soul and human, right? And it's magic,
It is magic.
and the only difference is we're in a physicality. And I don't know about everybody else, but I personally don't feel that I have to physically die. And I know that's probably a very small minority, but I just don't feel that that needs to happen. How can I teleport if I believe in borders of any kind? So if that's the case, how can I have this alchemization in my body if I believe I'm going to die?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's all right here, I think. And you know, yeah, I mean, I'll probably, you know, maybe I'll go tomorrow. Maybe I get hit by a bus tomorrow, but I don't know. It's just like, to me, we've always talked about it's a consciousness thing. The programming is directed at our consciousness, not at our bodies. It might involve GMOs and fluorides and chemtrails, but it's a consciousness thing. Oh, yeah. You can't do that. Oh, you can't do that.
Yes.
You can't cross this border. You need to pay for water. Fuck you.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying this with respect, but why go to school if you can't graduate?
Well, and that's the whole thing of creating a world. So you're talking about, you know, the produce, the mint was talking to you. This was talking to you. That's reality creation. And that's at a higher level than ever before. And we're making this up. We're the masters. And I say that in a humble way, that we've been put here, or we chose to be here as humans. We're making this up as we go along. This has never been done in this fashion.
That's right.
You know, so this is like master's level of course. We don't know what we're doing, you know, we're doing the best we can, but we're being very supported.
Yeah.
But I think we underestimate ourselves too.
Yeah.
And someone I saw in the comments said, enough with the pain and suffering. Like it just bores me, the suffering thing. I can't even, like, that mindset. I can't even deal with it because it's needless. And I lived that way for a good portion of my life.
We all did. Yeah.
And we don't have to anymore.
Mm-mm. I don't know about everybody else, but if I look at the and I can just keep it to myself, right? But if I look at the what do I want to say? Like the dimensional, interdimensional, it's probably a better word, experiences, connections that I've had since the first of the year. The pace and the pattern is like nothing I've ever seen. It's just like you sleep for 7 days, you're down for 3 days, you can't do anything, you got lethargic frequencies, you're just in and out. But when they happen, things are happening that have never happened before, and that are happening at an extraordinary pace.
Yes.
And I think, to your point, and I've said this for years, not because I'm smart, because it just looks like that's a writing on the wall. The biggest disclosure, the biggest challenge that we have is actually going, oh, wow, I can do that.
Yes.
Right. You know, like that's because there's certainly a personal love quotient, worthiness, relationship to our ability to be able to do these things. Because if we don't think we are worthy, then we're not going to be able to put a cape on and an S on our chest and fly around the world.
Bingo. You hit it right on the head. The self-love has to come first, and you got to work through your shit in order to get there. That doesn't come by just saying, oh, I love myself, you know, oh, you know, no, it's like, you got to go through that. We all know that. We've talked about that, you know, a lot, but it's stunning what's available. Like there's a couple things that happened to me. I mean, I don't think we've talked in quite a while, and it's like, I can't believe that just happened.
Yeah.
And these are little things,
Like what?
like, quitting my job without a job. I chose to expose myself to extreme narcissism in, a very condensed form for 2 years. And it was a lesson I look back, that I chose. But I mean, quitting my job within a day, I get an email. I have 3 interviews with a day and a half. This is without me putting a resume out. I don't even know how they got my email. And I have a job by the end of the week, a third more than I'm making. And like, it couldn't be a more congenial atmosphere, which is one of the things that I've been wanting to be a part of and creating, is a work atmosphere that is not only not toxic,
Right.
but collaborative. And, because we're in the middle, like, we're just getting out of the toxic crap. I worked
Yeah.
my whole career in toxic. And to have this like served up, not even served up, just kind of like, here you go. Without me, I mean, I had been really working on manifestation, but I never even dreamed that would happen. That's what I'm talking about. And
Yeah.
I'm a regular person. I'm not a woo woo, like, but
Yeah, but
that,
that to me it is. To me that's that merging of the human and the soul. That's the collaboration, then applying it. That's magic.
that,
What you're part
and
of. Now, is it only you, or is there some collaborators that are at least at, let's say, the light body level, right? Like the soul level, like they're moving the pieces, and the humans are, they're sending the intel to the,
absolutely.
you know what I mean? But like
Yeah.
that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It what I'm talking about is uh essentially, look, I'm gonna be I'm gonna have anxiety. I'm gonna be scared. I'm gonna be tentative. If I sit here on my haunches and don't move and don't do anything,
Yeah.
right? Now, I feel like I've been pretty much of a somebody that takes an initiative my entire life. And sometimes you get blood on your face, and sometimes you show your ass, and so on. But I'm just speaking from my own experience. When I step through a fear,
Mm-hmm.
I have anxiety, I have concerns, I'm scared, but I'm going for it. What I'm trying to say is those things don't change. So, like you did, you quit your job, you didn't have a job, and then what happens is you get a job, 3 offers, and you end up with a job by the end of the week that's paying you a 33% more than you were making in an environment that you called in. And this is what I'm talking about,
And
because
I don't know if it would have happened if I would have said, "Oh, waited to get the job." It doesn't work like that.
no,
Like, I knew in my heart, I'm like, I'm done here.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I'm stepping out. And they even tried to make me stay, and I'm like, nope, time to go out in the world.
yeah,
And that's how it works.
yeah,
You take the step, but you also have to have this, you know, this is where I call it the work, is you have to know what you want,
yeah,
and you have to envision it like it's there.
yeah. And you have to um, take 100%, not 99. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And not tens on
Right, right.
your
Leaving a little bit behind because you're
yeah, like
afraid.
yeah, like you don't leave 10% to your partner, or 10% to your employer, or 10% to your family. It's 100%
Yeah,
on you. I learned this on the streets.
yeah.
I learned this on the streets, having lost everything, and go and I'm telling you, it was unjust. It was unfair. There was there was a lot of things going on, and I wasn't the only one. I wasn't
Mhm.
the only one in the legal system that didn't have any money, and then you're at the mercy of the legal system and public defenders. Let me just tell you, avoid them at all costs. But what I'm trying to say is, until I said this is 100% me,
Yes.
and I can't do anything about what's happened either. In fact, I can't. The only thing I have to deal with in terms of what's happened are the repercussions of, or the consequences of what happened, or the effects would be a better word, of what happened, because circumstances and consequences are the same damn thing.
Yeah.
I can sit here and go, oh, this is a consequence because somebody did this or somebody did that. That's victim consciousness is what it is. So if I can
Yes.
get past, this is just the circumstances I'm in. I'm going to be on probation for 2 years, because of what's happened. Now, how am I going to approach that?
Mm-hmm.
Am I going like, how people create things in our communities and they put intention in it
Mm-hmm.
and it has power? Well, it's the same thing. If
Mm-hmm.
I go through the motions of my life and I'm sitting there going, that's bullshit, that's bullshit, or I can say, you know what, let's put our boots on, let's go to work, and just try to do the best you can, and it
Or,
builds and it builds and it builds.
you
And I
know,
think,
just like what I envision, what world I want to live in. I lay in bed at night and I envision that.
yeah,
Like that's what lights me up,
mm,
Like
yeah,
that it's fun. It's like dreaming, but then some of it's starting to come true.
yeah,
That's what's blowing my mind.
yeah.
I mean, I'm the cynic of cynics, Todd.
Are you really?
Oh yeah, but not anymore.
Yeah.
Not
That's what
anymore.
I was saying about with your example. How quick the return is. And
Well,
see, this is another thing. We get into the mix of this, and there's energy flying all over the place.
yeah.
Or even if you're having it, a 2-day period where you're on your back on the couch, and for me anyway, I'm telling you, I sometimes forget what has happened over the last 11 years
Yeah.
and the absolute uh, perfectly equal reciprocation from the universe and the speed of which it occurs. So you have these divine episodes, divine intervention, the voice that got us all here to do the crazy things like quitting your job without having a job, or doing whatever the things that we've done that got us to this point. And I have to remind myself, and it's gotten a lot easier, but I have to remind myself, you know what? This all happened to you.
Yeah.
This is the yellow brick road, and
Yes.
you're on it.
Yeah.
You're on it. And if you get off of it and you actually are going to discount all that stuff that happened, then, you're probably going to walk off a cliff or something. I don't
Right.
know. But
Or think about it in a non-magical way, because it is magic.
it is magic.
And yes, we have the ability to, because we're concentrating, we're trying to figure this out, and it takes some concentration, but it's not that easy, because you can't beat it with a stick.
Yeah.
You can't beat it to death. You have to put it out there with pure intention, let it go, and then just work it. I don't know how to explain. It's not that easy to manifest. All these people that say, "Oh yeah," so it's not that
It's a
easy,
secret. Law
right?
of attraction,
It's not.
No, it's not. I agree with that. It takes trust and faith.
Yes.
And you show me anyone who 100% trusts this universe, and I promise you,
Yeah.
they will walk on water.
Absolutely.
Now, I have experienced this, and like all of us, in many ways. And one that I've talked about since 2018 has been what we call money, but I would call it abundance. Okay. So I had this download in 2018, and they said, okay, this is part of your deal here. And you've been doing it. And now we're going to explain a little bit further, which is how you work with money. It has nothing to do with your physical action so much. It has to do with this.
Right.
It has to do with the way you intend things. So we've never charged for anything. And it goes up and it goes down. Mm-hmm. And it goes up and it goes down. And it goes down. And then it's the 25th of the month. And we're going, okay, what the fuck? And then all of a sudden, boom, so you have what you need.
Yeah.
And this is kind of like the initiation or the training ground. And I'm only using this as an example to show what I feel is that, and this is really just an example, to use kind of as a metaphor, even if you want to, or you can use it literally. So we're about to do our second, I guess, event, right? I think the first one was, God, I can't remember. That's
You
horrible.
are? Oh, I didn't know that. I haven't
Yeah,
been on.
it's no, not the Soldier Fest.
Okay.
I'm talking about an online event. It's a Helioscamos event.
Okay.
Helioscamos. The first one, I can't remember. We did it like 2 months ago. So when we approached it, we were like, well, there's the value thing, there's the equal energy exchange thing. And I'm not advocating anything. I'm just trying to make a point. Okay. And my point is that if you don't act in alignment with what you know, then it's not going to work for you. So we
No.
will go into this thing, and it's on the honor system.
Hmm.
Here's the link. Uh, Make a contribution of your choice, and
Hmm.
you're welcome to come.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, the people that walked in the door, did they all pay? I didn't check to the last degree, because that's faithless. What I
Mm.
do know is that based on the number of people, based on the average contribution, it was a home run.
Yeah. It
It
works
was a
out.
home run compared to saying, hey, you're going to pay 11,
Yeah.
11, or you're going to pay 22, 22. Now, the only reason I'm bringing this up
Yeah.
is because in my mind, this is how this energy grows. I don't
Mhm.
expect to be doing this forever. I expect to get to a point where the universe says, hey, pal, you have now created a foundation. You guys have created a foundation of faith and trust in this, let's say, 5D frequency of abundance, or 5D currency, or 5D whatever, money, whatever you want to call it, abundance, and 5D commerce is what I would call it. And now that's your baseline is now the top of your foundation. So now
Mhm.
you're going to start up here.
Yeah.
And I think this is how this stuff works, is when you jump on that sidecar, when it presents itself,
Yes.
when you practice what you preach and you walk the talk, and you leave your job without a job.
And you believe.
Well,
I believe. I really believe. I really want to create this cohesive work environment. That is something I really want. I said before I die, or die, whatever. Before I leave this plane, that's what I want to see. One of them. One of the things I want to see. And I'm like, oh wow, look, that just happened. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's pretty good. So and these things are happening. What I want to say is they're working in tandem with how my self image is. How much myself, for instance, coming down to Florida, when I first started to come down to Florida, I mean, there was times I was in the hood, okay? I mean, I had some not great experiences, whatever. It was all learning. But now, just year by year, I've been building what you said, the building, right? And I'm in a place, I'm like, wow, I never would have dreamed I'd be in a place like this. But it's based on, but I'm like, I'm worth it, and I've done the work. And it's not an egoic thing. It's just that I'm proud of myself.
yeah, and rightfully so.
Um, to come out the other side. So that's what's exciting to me, is this building on that, and like you're saying, the waves, and you get to another level, and then, and it's not based on greediness or anything. It's based on what we want our worlds to look like.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, our friend Hung made a good point. She says, manifestation is about bringing your soul's blueprint of experience into physical form.
Ah,
I agree with that. She says, what we think we want is not necessarily what we need. Sometimes it feels like manifestation is hard to do because of that. So I think that abundance is a perfect example. And I go back to my own, or our own example, just a couple, 2 or 3 highlights to the point of that. We were told to leave Hawaii. We left 8 days later.
yeah.
We didn't have the money. We actually borrowed $1,700 from our friend.
Yeah.
to get to the States with nowhere to stay. Okay.
I
Now,
know.
right? You know what I'm talking about.
I
So this
do.
is so we are on the beach 24 hours before we take off, just killing time. And somebody calls and says, "Hey, do you want to stay in our condo in Laguna Beach for 3 days when you get here?" Oh, okay. Somebody else calls, says, "Hey, you can stay at our house a week." And then it was, and then there was like a checkerboard, like boom, 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 right up until
Yeah.
like I want to say 3 months later.
Yeah.
So that's like an example. Another example would be we meet a beautiful sister, and she sends a message and says, "Hey, I've got this bus, and I just met y'all. I started following you 2 months ago, and I just want to give it to you."
Oh, the bus. Yeah, the
Or you
bus.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like if to her point, if you just have it as, "Oh, I need to have $1 million in my bank account."
Yeah, it doesn't
I
work
need
like
to I
that.
need to have. It has to be this way.
Yeah.
And that's a very egoic type of thing. It has to be this way. And it doesn't
Yes.
matter, in my
No.
opinion, it doesn't matter to the universe if you're laying down an absolute in terms of how you want things to unfold for you or how you think things run. Like
Yeah. No.
the
No.
universe, you just, you know what I mean? It's
Yes.
like um, that thing you were talking about earlier. That like there's more to it than that. When we think of heart, aligned heart, or the intention of the heart of the intention, I think it's more than that. It's like so many of these human words that are expanding in meaning and becoming multi-dimensional within themselves. Love is trust. Love is truth. Love is action. Love is, and again, this love is not the human love. It's this frequency it's this vibration that continually brings on more and more frequency that is very open, that is open to what it can't see in itself, that it's open to what it can't see in the external. That, and I really feel like this is the opportunity we've been given. And maybe I'm just nuts, but
Oh, I don't think so.
I really feel that we can do what we would call supernatural things, but it's gonna take 100% disengagement from even the physical constructs of this realm.
Mm-hmm. I would agree. So let me ask you a question. Do you think that we will see it in our lifetime?
Absolutely, or I wouldn't be here. I have conversations or I guess they're kind of like affirmation mantra conversations when I lay down at night. And so it's kind of hard to explain, but what I'm saying is that I know that in essence I'm programming myself, and that sounds a little bit too immaterial and in a way insensitive or rigid or AI-ish, right? But my program is my self-talk and ultimately my belief system, right?
Yes.
And so I say I want to be here
Yeah.
for the after party.
Yeah.
I'm not going to accept continued pain and suffering. And I'll say this is just an example. Like I said, the last couple of nights, I thank you for the last 11 years because I've been on an ascending incline, and I've got no complaints. I'm grateful for every aspect of my life, no matter what. And this
Yeah.
is the God's honest truth. But now let's talk business. I'll say I'd like to be here at least a few hundred years.
Yeah.
I feel like that it's happening. My body's changing. I know this. I should have a back that I shouldn't even be able to walk right now, based on what happened to me earlier in my life, and so on and so on. And I just basically say this is what I'm looking for. And and you mentioned this earlier, which I meant to kind of to expand on, which is I don't know if it's me. I don't know if it's less fear. But I have been calling in what I call the ancestors and the descendants. I'll say family, uh, more than I don't know, maybe with more fervor or something. I've always called them in, but in the last 10 days, the presence of family has been
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. I mean, fucking extraordinary, like absolutely mind blowing. And when they say they can only give you so much or you'll fry your
Mm-hmm.
brain, I can see where, you know, and I'm not getting spoon fed now. This is now
Yeah.
becoming these are now becoming like spatula size bites,
Yeah.
right? And but yeah, and like for instance, last night it was, I would have to just say by guess maybe anywhere from 50 to 100 different species of family.
Wow.
So there's something going on there. And I'm a big believer that none of us can do anything for anyone. That's a universal rule. They can't intercede and
No.
interrupt and so on.
Free will.
Uh, that's
Yep.
right. And growth has to come from the entity that was made in the image of. Even that mother that made us can't do it for us. She had no one do it for her when she said, what if I split myself in half and make my partner and give them free will and I don't have dominion over them? Like, talk about faith.
Yeah.
And then the whole, you know what I mean? So, like, in the same sense, I know they can't do it for me, but man, they sure can assist
They can assist.
if we
If you
ask.
ask
Right.
and you're clear, and I think you brought up a really good point. And Terry, wherever you are, the gratitude thing is
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
so huge because that helps you. That helps me. I can only talk for myself. Remember. Oh, do you remember all the last 11 years? What's happened? Do you remember? Because I tend to be looking okay out there or forward. Gratitude is just really key, I think.
Hey, I've been talking about this on the show. I start every morning. I miss one every now and then. I'm not perfect, but I start every morning, half awake, going, "Thank you for letting me be Todd Medina.
Yeah,
Thank you for my family that's showing up last night.
yeah,
Thank you for Morgan. Thank you for this relationship. Thank you for Soulogy. It's thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you." Even if I'm half out of it,
yeah,
and like, and what I found, and I've never been the type of person that was vindictive or sought revenge. I have probably, from a deep shadow, carried, I guess you would call it a grudge. And I've worked through these things like a lot of people have. But I have found in my field now, for myself, there's a zero tolerance that and it's because of a practice of, like you're talking about, like a practice of gratitude. That if anything enters my mind, such as those types of frequencies or thoughts, I start gratituding myself to
yeah,
death
yes,
and saying, that's BS. You
yeah,
know, that's just BS. It's I'm thankful for being here with everything offered because I realize in this experience we have probably the broadest palette to paint from
yeah.
because of the extremity and the expanse between polarities.
Well, that's when I start going negative, I'm like, nope. That's my clue, my thing to catch myself and start taking stock.
Yeah.
That's, when I start going negative.
I don't see you as negative.
Oh, I can be
I'm
negative.
still tripping because you were in a sidecar.
I do have a picture of it. I should post that picture.
So are y'all both down there? Or are you back and
No,
forth?
Kurt's up north. He
And
doesn't
see here,
live.
and this is another, but I mean, this is another, another flavor or let's say remix, expansion from an existing template.
Yes,
You know what I mean? Like
yes,
I, I tell you, it would be what, like six, see, 8 months, 9 months separated from Morgan.
yeah,
And I got to tell you, you know, and she'd have to speak for herself, but I mean, holding space for myself, for her, for the relationship, dealing with the human familiarity of physicality, dealing with the illusionary constructs of what is a relationship, dealing with all the energies coming down. It has been an MF, okay? and finally got into a place, I think, like a lot of us, where you reach this plateau or cross this threshold and you go, wow, we got something really fucking cool
Yeah.
here. Now, does it mean we sleep together every night? Not at this time.
Right.
But there's something happening here that is out of the box, which is just another replication of our own lives and the decisions we made, and you and everyone else here that got us to this crazy spot,
Yeah.
and I want to explore that. you
Yeah.
know I want to explore that. 2 nights ago, I laid down, I felt something different, I put my hand out, like she's there, I do that sometimes, I put my hand out, I immediately felt something, I felt this energy go into our hands, like it, like as if we were one body, right? It was weird, and it
Right.
went into our hands where they connect, and then it went into the bodies, and the next thing I know, I'm in this space with her. That was
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was very cool. And then the next night we have a session, and there's a connection between what happened with me and what
Yeah.
we were experiencing in the session. And so, like, these are the things I want to explore.
Yeah.
These are the things that I want to explore. And because I'm I don't know about you, but I think I kind of figured out how most of the stuff in the world runs. you know, like, I know what it's like to have a chocolate bar. I know what it's like to the goods and the bad stuff. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just like, what can we do with this?
I'll call Crow. I'm like, did you just like blah blah blah? And he's like, yeah, that type of thing. So it's like,
What exactly was that about?
well, I mean,
I know I know exactly what you're talking about. It happened to us about 3 or 4 days ago.
what are you doing? Can you
Yeah,
stop whatever you're doing? Like,
yeah,
don't do that, or do
yeah,
that, like whatever.
yeah. She was driving down the road on a kind of an extended drive, going from one place to another. It's about a 3-hour drive, and I was on my back. I was having one of those episodes where I got out and I was like, man, I got to lay down.
Yeah.
Now I'm laying down, and all of a sudden, I just feel her come in,
Mm.
and I start getting aroused. And I thought, holy shit, how am I going to sleep? My body's telling me you got to go to sleep. Anyway, long story short, we were both experiencing the same thing, and it wasn't the first time. But again, these things are going to happen with more and more frequency, and these aren't planned. You're not going.
Mm.
Kurt's not going, oh, I'm going to send her a message right now. No, because
No.
there has to be this. I mean, in my mind, this kind of purity, this just naturalness. This, it can't be like a forced thing. I think that's where,
It's trust.
yeah, trust, yeah,
It's trust.
non-judgment, love. I mean, there's a lot of aspects to it, and I think that's where a lot of these secret fraternal organizations and those that kind of secreted away the occult, um, mysteries and such. Uh, the difference is,
Yeah.
and it's not just to say them; it could be individuals that when those things can be utilized, uh, but when they're not the proper intent, or when they're not, let's say, an equilibrium type of intention, good things don't always come from
No.
that. But,
No.
you know, so
We're moving away from that anyway.
yeah, yeah,
It's old, 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 old. You
yeah.
know.
It's not a good time to create bad stuff,
No.
because karma is no longer a bitch. She's a fucking hell bitch, and she'll come down on you so fast.
It's just real time now. It's not even karma. It's just real time.
Yeah, true.
It's just not where it's at.
I hear you.
It's not gonna work. It's not gonna work.
Well, I appreciate you starting this day with me, and
No. Thank you
I
for
re-
reaching out.
yeah, I mean, I really appreciate just being able to get up and talk to people, and not rehearse anything more than ever, and just jump in there, and because that takes some stuff. But if you look at it, and I'm not saying this is for everybody, but there's something about jumping in there and just going for it.
Yeah.
That is actually what what is kind of creating, this wider berth in our daily lives, and we're all doing it.
Yeah.
Everyone here has stepped out of the box and followed crazy by
You know
conventional
what?
standards, crazy
We're
guidance.
tired of fucking around.
There you go. Yeah.
We've been doing this for lifetimes of having to wait and having. It's like we don't have to wait anymore. It's like, can we just get to it?
Yeah. That's right. And that's okay, I think.
Yeah.
That's okay, I think. And that's part of the reason I think I have an issue that I don't feel is my issue. It's a discernment level now. I am sick and tired. I am sick and fucking tired. I'm just going to say it. And I've said it before, of these narratives and this supposed intel that's coming in that says, keep working. It's going to get better. It's
Oh,
going to happen.
oh
I
my
am
God.
so
I
fed
know.
up with that. I don't care.
Or the posts that like, we've reached, the dark has fallen. That
Yeah.
it's not like that. It's still here. It's not a we won. It's not we've reached. There's no time. First of all,
Right.
it's
Right.
not we've reached this point and all the angels are singing. It's not like that. It's just not like that.
Mm-mm. I don't even think the goddess knows how it's going to go.
No, and I'm not pretending that I know.
No, I'm just saying, I don't think,
No,
I think this is the whole trick, is it's, you don't know. You don't know, but you have, I feel like that we create it, obviously, and to be aware and not apply it is a lost opportunity in my mind. And I just feel like, hey, let's put this knowledge and wisdom and experience to use and have a little fun and go ride a sidecar on a motorcycle with some
right.
stranger
In real time.
Yeah, who would do?
I don't want to wait for when the threshold of the light workers falls and da da da. Like I want to do it right now. Like I want to do this stuff right now, real time, baby.
I hear you. I was going to make a joke, but I'm not going to.
Oh, sorry, I cut you off.
No, it was about Florida. I lived in
Oh.
Florida, but I don't want to. There's certain things you just can't be sarcastic about or funny about anymore.
Right.
I love Florida. It's nothing against Florida. I was just going to make a joke like, who would? It's pretty courageous to jump on a sidecar with a complete stranger in the backwoods of Florida.
Oh no, no, that was Michigan. That was Michigan.
Oh, well, that's
I don't
better.
know. I don't think I would have done that in Florida.
Allison Gregory, there she is. She's in the Tampa area. She was asking where you're at. She was asking where you're at. I think you guys would connect pretty well.
Yeah.
She's in the Tampa area, and she want to know. And so Scarlet's in Pine Island.
Yeah, Pine Island.
Wait, you're in Pine Island.
Yeah, Pine Island. Yeah.
Wait, isn't Pine Island? I thought Pine Island was at the base of Florida.
No, that's Naples. I'm just outside of Fort Myers.
Yeah, that's what I thought. What is the one? I stayed at a place south of Miami.
Homestead?
I thought it was Pine Island. No.
I don't know Miami that well.
Yeah, this was 3 years ago. There's some yeah. So Allison, she's at Pine Island near Naples, Fort Myers.
Fort Myers. I'm near Fort
Myers. Sanibel. Yeah, y'all just hook up with her at
No, not Pine Key, Pine Island.
Yeah, Pine Island.
Yeah, near Matt Lachey. Yes. I stayed in Matt Lachey last year. Yes.
Matt Lachey. Very cool. All right. Love you.
Thanks.
You
Great talking with you.
Yeah, it was very cool. I enjoyed it, and thank you.
Hey, and the rest of February, ba-boom. So
I just want to make it. I just want to make it on my 2 feet past the 22nd.
Me too. I'm like March 1st. Please, March 1st. So, but all the best to you. All the best to Morgan. All the best to everyone in Soulogy.
You take care.
All right. Thanks.
I'll see you later.
Bye.